Hey guys, it's Tom here with Hidden Beats, and today we are talking with Ammoye. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me, Tom.
It's my pleasure, and we're here to talk a bit about your music and your. I think you have another Juno nomination we're going to talk about today. Lots of fun stuff to go
Yeah,
over.
cool.
So for starters, people who might not know you, can you give a little intro about yourself and your music?
Okay, so my name is Ammoye, aka the light worker, I call myself. I'm originally from Jamaica, Clarendon, like a little country girl. I
Hmm.
was raised by my grandparents in the church where I got my start in music, singing in the church choir with my family. And my grandmother recognized that I had talent. And at the time, I was not for music because it made me, I was such a shy little girl when it
Hmm.
came to that. I was more brave to be a dancer because I was a part of a dance group in high school back home in Jamaica, and that was where because I had the girls in the group to cover me. But when I was singing, they liked to pull me out to do solos, and it was nerve-wracking. But the more that my grandmother pushed me and she allowed us to do singing lessons, I fell in love with it. And the reactions from the audience when I would sing in church gave me more confidence. And the more I did it, the more I fell in love with it. I used to after church run down into the back land. We used to call it back home. You guys call it the maybe the backyard, but we call it the back land because we had fruit trees and vegetables and all the animals, the goats and the chickens, and which were my best friends at the time. And I would run up into the trees. I was a tomboy. I would run up into the mango trees and sing out my songs to the animals and the plants. So I'm a tree hugger, and I still am today. And that's where I really got my start. And after my grandmother passed, I migrated to Toronto to live with my mom and continued singing in the church choir with my brother and my sister. And I started a little singing group called Sisters in Christ with my sister and two other girls from our church, then the Street Church of God. And then I decided that I wanted to do my own thing because I got the bug. I got bitten by the bug, and I saw people like Julie Black, at the time when I first came
Hmm.
to Toronto, singing and doing her thing. And I'm like, oh, I guess I could really pursue this as a career against my family's wishes. They wanted me to become a professional, like they all are. But I decided that I wanted to do music. I wanted to follow my heart and feed my soul and not just my pocket. And I decided to go for music professionally, and I've never looked back since. And I've been doing reggae music. I call it reggae fusion. I fuse my reggae with all these different influences that I grew up listening to. So you'll hear elements of jazz, soul, R&B, hip hop, dancehall, even and electronic in my music.
I actually
Multi-dimensional sound. Yeah.
I listened to a bunch of your songs before just to be more aware of your sound, and that's exactly it. I found a lot of those notes in there for sure.
Yeah.
Now, you yourself as the reggae fusion. How do you see your music? I mean, you've evolved from the church into the new age, I guess, stuff. How do you see
Yeah.
your music evolving, like going forward? Are you interested in other genres and things like that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, like I said, in Jamaica, we listen to not just reggae, even though reggae is my base because that's what I grew up. Church, yes, I started out in church, and my grandmother was very strict. She wouldn't allow us to listen to anything but gospel music. The only other artist that we were allowed to listen to at the time was Bob Marley. So
Okay.
Bob Marley became one of my biggest influences in music because of the songwriting, the content that he put out, and just the quality of music and how relatable his music is, even right now. And that inspired me to be the best songwriter I could be. And so my music is all about uplifting people and and motivating people and activating people to go out and do what they love to do. So listening to reggae in Jamaica was definitely, or learning about reggae and all of that, growing up on reggae was very impactful for me. However, when you hear the sound system blaring out music into the streets, when you go to Jamaica, you'll understand what I mean. Like there's music everywhere you go. It's not just reggae. They play soul, funk, calypso, soca, R&B, hip hop, rap, all of it. Country music. They're the big lovers of country music too, as
Okay.
well. So it's a melting pot of all these different sounds and influences and genres of music that I fell in love with, pop and all of it. And so even coming to Toronto, I got introduced to house music. dance music, electronic, and Afro beats, and all of it. And I'm a big lover of jazz music as well. So in the future, you'll continue to hear me fusing these elements that I'm that resonate with me into what I call my reggae. And
Okay.
so it's always going to be a multi-dimensional sound, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Always. I mean, I'm even thinking about doing a reggae fusion jazz album at some point. So yeah, my music is always going to be multi-dimensional and not just a one-sided thing in a little box. It's going to be expanded and always evolving and growing.
No, that's awesome. Do you see, okay, so you got a lot of collab, like dream collabs you've mentioned before, like Lauryn Hill and Missy Elliott, things like that. I'm curious of if you think of a country artist that would be an awesome collab to do something with.
No, not a country artist. That's a good question. That's a very good question. Who would be a good country artist that I would want to go and work with now? Like the ones that I love are no, I mean, the ones that I grew up with that I love, I'm an old soul. And anybody that knows me knows I'm an old soul. So I like the older stuff, but the modern day country artists, I'm trying to think of who would be a good one that I could see myself doing something with. What's her name that was married? She's also an actress as well. Her name slips me right now. She's been well. She was in Yellowstone. Her husband was in Yellowstone, and the spin-off. She played his wife in the earlier part of Yellowstone.
Yeah, Tim McGraw and Faith Hill.
Faith Hill. Faith
Yeah.
Hill. I like the Faith Hill. Faith Hill would be somebody I could see myself working with. I love her sound.
Yeah, actually, I could actually make
And if
something.
would you
Good.
consider Shania Twain country?
She's the queen of country.
Well, there you go. So I mean, because she's more like pop, I guess the pop country. I love Shania Twain. So if Shania Twain and Faith Hill are the caliber of people that of females that I would love to work with in the country genre.
I think that would actually be really cool. Shania Twain definitely loves to have fun with her music, so I think you guys could do something real interesting.
Yeah, I think so too. I love Shania Twain.
I actually got to see her last year at the Boots and Hearts Festival finally, and she
sweet.
puts on an amazing show. It's insane.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I love
So,
Shania.
I'm curious about your process with putting together your music. You had a kind of a strict church kind of upbringing, but when you're coming into the new stuff, how do you put together your
But what normally my creative process, it's a few different how do I say now? There's sometimes where melodies would come to me in while I'm sleeping. I'll be having a dream and I'll wake up. I keep a songbook I always have a songbook beside me when I'm sleeping, and because ideas will come to me in my dreams, and I'll get up and quickly jot them down, or sometimes I'll even grab my phone and sing the melody and the lyric. Sometimes the lyrics will come as well, and I'll put that into my voice note and then build on that. For example, one of the songs on my album before Water, that The Light, which also was nominated for a Juno, that came out in 2017. There was a song on it called Jaja, and that song came from an idea when I was not working, but I was just vibing out with my manager who plays the guitar.
Okay.
And so we were just jamming, and this is another way that my creative process will just manifest itself. And he was just, I sort of started singing. I was on the balcony, and it was a beautiful summer day, and I was just inspired by the good feeling of what I was feeling, and just the beautiful weather. And I started singing the lyrics out, and then he started just jamming on his guitar, and the idea came for Jaja. And I, right away I grabbed my phone and taped on my voice note what we were, building, and then left it there. And then when I went to Jamaica to write for the album, I remember I was in the studio, One Pop studio, with Sly and Robbie. I don't know if you know who Sly and Robbie is, who worked with Bob Marley and all the greats. Like they are the veterans of reggae music. And anyway, I was in the studio with Sly, and I remember this idea that I had on my phone, and so I played it for him, and then he fell in love with it. and then decided to build on that. So that's another creative process for me, as well as all the producers that I work with. They'll send me beats, tracks, and I'll just lie down with them or lay on my beautiful couch. I love to write in bed or on my couch.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll sit with the beat and go into like what you call a meditative state, and melodies and ideas will come to me, and then I'll put that to the beat, whatever works for the beat. So, and sometimes I'll be out by the water. I love to be by the water as well. I love to be out in nature, and ideas will come to me, and I'll do this. And I have my songbook, and I'll put it down in my songbook. And so it's different processes, different ways that my creative, creative juices will come through and manifest in its own little unique ways.
Mm-hmm. But that's nice because it creates different experiences with your songs too. So each one has a different kind of feel to it when you do it that way.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Now
Keeps it interesting.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, you've been nominated for Junos. You're obviously doing something a little bit, right? So
right.
Mm-hmm.
Little girl, who would have thought it? I mean, my family at the time when I decided to go for music thought it was the worst idea I could ever come up with. They thought, "Are you crazy? You're not gonna do. Come on, 1 in a million people make it in the music industry. Come on." But I just knew that this was a calling that I felt I needed to follow, and it was the best decision I've ever made. I was studying at Seneca College here in Toronto for travel and tourism, and I realized, because I wanted to travel, I love traveling as well, but I realized I was only doing that to please my family, and I decided music was going to be what I was going to do. I just knew it. I knew it then. I made the decision to drop out of school. I don't advise it for everybody, but it was the right decision for me, and I went off to my music, and I've never looked back since. And now I'm 6. I have this new nomination. Juno Nomination is my 6th Juno Nomination. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm right.
Yeah, you're on the right track.
Yeah. So the universe is way of telling me that I'm on the right track. Last year, I got my first Grammy consideration for this exact album as well, Water. So I'm on the right track. I feel like I know I'm on the right track. Yeah.
Were you building Water out in the hopes of putting it forward to something like a Junos or a Grammy, or is it more passion project that just kind of did what you hoped it did?
Exactly. It's always a passion project. I'm never going in thinking, "Oh, I'm gonna," it's never that for me. I just, I love what I do so much. And the intent for me, the reason why I do music is exactly how I felt when I used to listen to Bob Marley's music back in the day. When I used to listen to people like the Clark Sisters, who's one of my favorite gospel artists. Whenever I was going through something, as I went through some interesting experiences growing up in Jamaica, especially after my grandmother passed the year before I came here. A lot of things that impacted my life, and I felt like at one point, I didn't even want to be here. That's how depressed I was. I got so depressed. But their music gave me something to hope for, to live for, basically, if you will. Like, it just motivated me to say, I know that there's more to life, and these situations will pass, and that's what I want to do with my music. The intent for my music is to heal people through the energy of my music and motivate them, activate them to go out and do what they love to do and share that with the world.
And that's a great thought too, and that actually kind of leads into my next question. Was you've some of your music has political issues, things like that involved in it, and how do you see music helping the world kind of get past some of these things?
Exactly that. Exactly what I just said. Because even in 2020, which is when I wrote and recorded Water, I mean, the world, so much was going on. We were in the lockdown, the quarantine. I started writing the album in Belize, the top of 2020. We were in Belize, and as soon as we came back, we were in a quarantine, lockdown. And everything was so uncertain and so scary because we didn't know what was really going on. And then I started to research and go within. Really, because I'm very spiritual. I connect with my spirit guides, what you call source, God, whatever you call it. I call it spirit. And I got some insights and some inner standings that that I wanted to put into my music and talk about the things that I was learning and this new awareness and information that was coming at me. When I found out what was going on with the children that were going missing, all these different things. And of course, for me, it was so like baffling, child trafficking and all this stuff that I was learning about. I wanted to do something with my music where even if I wasn't here and the music was still here, it was something that would be like a marker for this time that we're going through. And how even though things might look a certain way, there's always a silver lining. There's always going to be that rainbow after the storm. Things are always going to get better. We will go through this and get through this, and things are going to get better.
And like, I'm actually indigenous, so I vibe with the whole spirit connection and spirit animals and things like that. So like, I've even got, it's on this side here, it's a raven for rebirth and regrowth, and
I love it. And that's
like
what
that.
water represents. There you go. That's what water represents. My rebirth.
So I definitely feel that spirit, it hits me a little bit differently than it's good.
Yeah.
I'm always, when we're putting together like an album like Water, was there tracks that were harder to come together, like to finish off a track, or some easier than others? And do you have a favorite track actually?
Oh my, I might. Oh, there's a lot. One of my favorite ones on the album is On the Dock. I wrote that. That was one of the first albums actually. That and Count on Me were one of the first ones that I wrote for Water. I wrote On the Dock on a catamaran by the water in Belize. And this song is about meditation. I was being lulled by the water as I was sitting there on the catamaran. And I just went within, and that inspired me to write about how important it is to make time for stillness, to connect with your internet, with your spirit guides like we were talking about. And that is where you'll find the answers to anything that you're either going through or what you see happening in and around the world. And that, for me, is a special moment. Whenever I make time to just connect, I like to do that when it's easier for me to do that too when I'm out in nature, especially when I'm close to water. You know, that song is very important to me. And it was just a song to just motivate people or inspire people to make time for self-care and just make time for you to connect within and get the answers that you're looking for. You know,
for sure.
So that's one of my favorite.
I think I listened to that one in my list that I put a playlist together, and I was listening to it while I was working today. So I'm pretty sure that's on my list. I liked all your music regardless. It was nice. It was nice, almost relaxing, but gave you a good feeling. It was hard to explain really, but it hit good for sure.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Thank you.
Now, I do have a couple questions I always like to ask people I'm having conversations with for the first time. It gives me a little bit more insight to who you are and just what makes you tick a little bit.
Yeah.
First one I have is, what's something on your go-to playlist that people might not expect you're listening to?
Chet Baker.
Okay.
Chet Baker. I love me some Chet Baker. Chet Baker was like my soundtrack to 2020. I discovered his music even more so. And my favorite album from Chet is the Keep News Collection. If you haven't listened to the Keep News Collection from Chet Baker, you need to listen. That music just takes you on a galactic, interdimensional ride. He's just so talented, and his music just, I don't know, man. It does something to me. It does something to me, and I would recommend anybody to listen to that music, to his music, and especially that album. My favorite album from Chet Baker.
I'll make sure to add some Chet Baker to my playlist. I have my own playlist. I like to pick everyone's brains and take a piece and put it into my playlist to get a nice kind of vibe of everything.
Yes, check out Keep News Collection from Chet Baker.
Perfect. I'll note that right now.
Yeah.
Another fun question I have, and this one makes a lot of people think, is what's one thing you think should be asked more in interviews that's not asked enough?
Well, that's a good one. Because mental health these days, especially the issue of mental health, is coming up more and more now because of what we went through too in 2020. And a lot of people have been committing suicides, and the suicidal rates have been so high, skyrocketed since, even though that was always going on, but more so now. A good question I would say is, how do you deal with stress? What is your process of dealing with stress and high intensity situations that causes you to you know, come off your center. How do you deal with that?
No, that's a
You
good one. I've
know,
never actually thought of that.
yeah, get people to get inspired about figuring out ways to help them figure out how to navigate those, you know, those moments and those situations where you find that you're not so much yourself, if you will. If you find that you're just not in your body, and you are, you know, you're being influenced by either a negative situation or relationship or whatever it is. How do you deal with it? And I feel like if you have those conversations more, and people sharing how they navigate through those moments, it will help other people that are dealing with it, especially the youths, the young ones who are going through these things, and don't have the, you know, the tools to deal with
Mhm.
these situations. It's good to be able to share those tools and whatever it is that works for you with them, so that they can try out these things instead of just deciding to take their lives or hurt
Well,
themselves.
well, do you have a piece of advice you'd give to someone in that genre?
Is cultivate that relationship with your higher self, with your spirit, with who you really are. The highest part of you in a spiritual sense is to make that time for stillness. My favorite thing to do, other than, it's my vice, it's my saving grace, is having this creative outlet to. It's very cathartic and therapeutic for me to put what I'm going through into my music. But what has helped me to stay focused on my path, and what I know that I'm here to do, is connecting, always making time to connect with my higher self, with my spirit guides, with God, source, nature, mother God, you know what I mean? Gaia, whatever you want to call, Macha, Mama Pacha, is connecting with the higher realms within you, not outside of you, but within you. Making time for stillness, meditate, however you choose to do it, going for walks and just being with yourself. That has changed my life completely. It's given me confidence. I no longer look for validation outside of myself. I look for it within myself. I am my safest place to land on, not somebody or anything outside of myself. And so when you cultivate that relationship with yourself and you fall in love with yourself, it's harder for anything or anybody to influence you to do things that doesn't resonate with you.
No, that's a good one. I like that. I think my inner cultivation, I like to go for a drive and just put on loud music and just have fun. Like nobody else in the car, I can goof around
Yes,
and do it.
there you go.
Hmm.
Yeah, you want to fall in love with yourself, and you got to enjoy being with yourself. A lot of people don't like to be alone because they don't like to be with themselves. They don't like to think and go within. They like to be around people or things that will distract them from actually going inside themselves. But when you face that and you go within, you'll be surprised the magic, the magic that comes out of it's magical. It's magical way of living, and it just becomes more purposeful and intentional, because you have to be the safest place for you.
Hmm.
It,
I love being alone because
yeah.
I'm married and I have a new kid.
Mm.
So if I have my alone
But
time, it's always a bonus.
yes, you can't. You have to make that time for yourself. You have to. It's so
Hmm.
important. Mhm.
So on that note too, then what would you give someone as a piece of advice for you musician up in the world?
For
New musicians coming up.
Oh my goodness, what I would have loved, because a lot of things, a lot. Yes, I learned a lot of things from the church when it comes to music, but I didn't have the resources or whatever, like that. A lot of people that live in this country, because we have so much more opportunities available to us here. Back home in Jamaica, it wasn't the same. So a lot of things I learned by ear. I, I
Hmm.
I would say to the upcoming is just master your craft. Master your craft. If you can and you're able to, master what it is that you love to do. And if it is music, yeah, go out and you study the grades. And if you're not able to afford to go and take music, vocal classes or instrument and learn an instrument, just for me, it was just listening to people like Bob Marley. Honestly, I studied Bob Marley and studied the way that he wrote, the quality of music that he wrote. And for me, I would practice, kept on practicing, writing. and practice. I kept on practicing it until I'm at the place now where my music is being nominated for a freaking Juno Award. I mean, come on now. So
Mm-hmm.
I would say just master what you love. Master, spend time practicing it, owning it, crafting it, and giving it your all. Don't leave anything on the table. Give it everything you've got. You know?
That's definitely the way to do it. If you love
Yeah.
it, put your all into it until you
All
don't want to
do
do
it.
it anymore.
Don't half-ass it. Yeah, exactly.
That's always
Exactly.
been my motto just in life. I think in general, I don't care if I don't like it, I'm still going to put my best in it until I stop doing it.
Exactly. If you're gonna do it, might as well do it good. Might as well do it right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I guess so my last thing, and we already talked a bit about this, but why do you keep pursuing music? Like I know you have a goal in it. What in it for you makes it worthwhile?
Because I know that this is my service to humanity. I am, and to myself. And I know this gift is not just by coincidence or by fluke. I know that this gift was given to me for a reason, and I honor that, and I take that that's sacred to me. And I know that it is my duty to then, like I said, master it and then share it with the world. I know what music does for me, and I want to do the same thing for other people. And music is very healing, like I said before, cathartic and therapeutic. It helps me get through the bad days, because we do have some bad days sometimes. And music is one of my therapy to get through the rough times in life. And so this is why I continue to do music, because I know how powerful the energy of music is and how it can heal people energetically and in ways that I don't even understand. So this is what I just want to continue to do. It's just to be of service and to share this, you know, gift that I was given
Makes
from
sense.
spirit
And
with the world. Yeah,
yeah, music is healing. I need music on a daily basis just to wrap
exactly.
my head around something or to
Can you
decompress.
imagine a world without music? I can. Yeah, you can. I
I
can't imagine.
couldn't, yeah. It'd be
Yeah.
insane.
Mhm.
I think that's a pretty good note. That's all I actually have written down for my talking points. Is there any kind of final shout outs, tidbits of wisdom you want to leave anyone? I know you have the Junos coming up and
Yeah, I know. Shout out to the Juno Awards and all the nominees that are nominated this year for a Juno Award in my category and all the other categories. I also want to say thank you to the listeners for giving us your ear. Thank you to you, Tom, and the Invies for allowing me to have this platform to share about what I do and share my music with your audience and for anybody that's listening that might be going through a rough time. Just know that this too shall pass. This too shall pass. Continue to stay the course, and you just don't know what's coming around the corner. You just don't know.
exactly.
Magic is coming.
Exactly.
Just give it a chance. Give yourself. Don't take your life or yourself too seriously. Just know that this is all temporary. All temporary. All right,
That's
and
the
you get
perfect
through
way to
this.
end it.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to your Juno win. We're gonna say your win, just just because.
From your
And
ears to God, from your lips to God's ears. Yes.
yeah, and I'm sure we'll get to have another conversation at some point because this was definitely fun, and I appreciate you spending time with me.
Thank you. I would love that. Thank you so much.
All right, you enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll be keeping an eye on you.
All righty. Thank
All
you,
right,
Tom. I really appreciate it.
yeah,
All right.
bye now.
Bye bye.